So I've been thinking, like, what if you weren't spiritual? Like, what if instead of having to be this like spiritual person and outwardly present yourself that way and like tell yourself all the time, I'm spiritual, I'm a spiritual person. I do spiritual things. Like I meditate and I do rituals and you know, have idols in my house and wear spiritual clothing and do these different kinds of things. Like, what if instead of all that, you just let yourself be? Like, you just let yourself go and you just do whatever comes naturally to you without trying to control it. And then you become unconscious of yourself. Isn't that like, I don't know, like from my viewpoint, where I'm standing, what I see is that we as people were born into this world and we are fed all of this information and put through these different situations, and we're taught things by our parents and by our peers. And even this sounds like, to be honest with you, man, like right now, even this sounds really stupid and annoying to talk about because it's always talked about so much. You've been conditioned by your society, you're conditioned by the peers around you, you're conditioned. And like we know that, but like at some point when you want to let go of that conditioning, right? Like the whole thing is that like you became self-conscious, right? That's what happened. That's how we veered from serenity, right? You become inserene when you become self-conscious. Like you start thinking about everything and you start worrying about what other people are going to think of you and what your future is going to look like and so on and so forth. And like, but I feel like sometimes we go in the wrong direction or something. Like sometimes our response to this like self-consciousness that we have is to become even more self-conscious. And yet like what we change is that we just change what we're self-conscious about, and so I think that's like the mistake that a lot of us make, like myself included. Like I'm not excluded from this. I have to be content with the fact that I don't know everything, and I think that everybody has to be content with that. Like there are just things that we can't know. But my point is, like, at what point do we have to drop the shit? Like what we have to drop the whole idea of being a spiritual person and being attached to spiritual practices and spiritual rituals to make ourselves more spiritual. When is that really what it's about? Is that the way that things are? Is that the truth? Is that what we're looking for? Like, hello kitten. My cat just opened my door. I don't know how she did that. I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, I've just been I'm kind of annoyed about it, to be honest. Like, I don't want to keep just constantly thinking about enlightenment. Like, isn't enlightenment this sort of thing that the more that you strive for it and the more that you try to get it, the farther away it gets from you, right? There's this story that I heard Alan Watts tell, and it goes like this. There's a man and he's chopping wood. He's chopping wood in the forest. And there's an animal that comes up to him and it snickers at him. And the man wants to eat the animal for food. And so he tries to swing his axe at this animal, but the animal can read his mind, and so it jumps out of the way of his axe. And so the more that he tries to kill this animal, the more that the animal avoids him, because it already knows that he's trying to, because he can read he can read the woodcutter's thoughts, and so the animal knows every move that he's about to do. And so the man eventually gets like frustrated, and so he returns to his axe, his woodcutting, and the animal walks up to him and reads his mind and says, "Aha!" and laughs at him and says, "So, you've given up." And at that, the man gets really angry, and he has given up. But when he gets really angry, he takes his axe and he swings it as hard as he can into the wood to try to cut the wood even harder. And when he does this, he swings it so hard that the head of the axe flies off and it strikes the animal and kills it. And that's supposed to be a Zen story about the way that a person obtains or attains satori, which is their version of enlightenment. So that's the thing. We're constantly caught in like a paradox, and it's confusing, to be honest with you. It's very confusing, because the paradox is that we're constantly trying to achieve something, and trying to put ourselves somewhere that we cannot achieve and that we cannot be put. That we're striving for something that can only be achieved if you don't strive for it, right? And so aren't we just running ourselves around in circles when we say things like, I am a spiritual person, or when we tell people that we're a Buddhist, or that we're Hindu or whatever, and it not even necessarily, I'm just using these as examples, but it doesn't necessarily constitute the whole thing, because I'm not thoroughly educated on every form of Eastern philosophy and the way that every group of people sees it. But that's my point, though, is, it's not something, like, it's often said, and I've been reading a lot recently, and it's often said in different books that the best way for a person to move themselves closer to enlightenment is to just let go of it, to not even worry about it. Don't try to become a Buddha. Don't try to become enlightened. Fuck it. Because the more that you try to, the less it's going to work. So you might as well not try. You might as well not, if you're going to meditate, find some other reason to meditate. If you're going to read spiritual books, find some other reason to read those books. If you're going to burn incense, find some other reason that you like to burn incense. But forget about enlightenment, because you don't need it. Of course, that's kind of a cheeky thing of me to say. But you know what I mean. The truth is, it doesn't matter if you strive for it or not, because the more that you strive for it, you're not going to get it. So, in that kind of way, the most enlightened person is the person who is unaware of himself and is not striving. He's not striving for that enlightenment. He's not striving for that attainment. Because the thing is, what is the reason that you're trying to become enlightened? Because any reason that you could have for attempting to become enlightened is only going to demonstrate how unenlightened you are. Like if I say that I'm declaring that I want to be enlightened, that is my goal in life. But enlightenment is to not have the image of self, to be completely egoless, and to be free of your suffering. So if that is enlightenment, then how can you possibly get to that point via the severe and strenuous attempt to do that? Because that is inherently something that you're doing either to feed your own ego or to escape from your suffering, or because you believe that there is something wrong with where you are right now. So you can't really strive for that. If my goal in life is to believe that everything is okay and that everything is exactly the way that it should be in this moment always, I can't strive for that. Because as soon as I believe that that's something that I need to strive for, I will no longer believe what it is that I'm trying to believe. I will no longer understand what it is I'm trying to understand. So to be honest with you, if you're sticking around with this channel, like, these videos are always going to be just me riffing. And this is what I talk about, because this is what I think about. But it's not always what I think about. And I've made the mistake in the past of stepping away from doing videos just because it's not always what I think about. I think that's stupid. I think that it would be better for all of us if I just always did them. So from now on, there's going to be a video every day that I can possibly do one. And they're going to be about whatever I want to talk about. And most of the time, it's going to be stuff like this, because most of the time, this is what I think about. But you want to know what I want to do right now? You want to know what I want to talk about and think about right now? I want to play goddamn video games, and I want to make music. I'm really annoyed with meditation. I'm really annoyed with trying to improve my mind. Because I'm trying to improve myself, right? But is there even a self to improve? And if there is a self that could be improved, can it be improved? Can I fix this self? Does this self need fixing? Why does it need fixing? I just want to play Helldivers. Which I'm going to do on my second channel, and you should go check it out. There's going to be a link in the description below. I just want to play Helldivers and listen to Pink Floyd and make music and play guitar and sing and laugh and look at mountains and cherish my friends and listen to the wind blowing through leaves in the forest and feel the sun on my skin and listen to the ocean and smell the ocean air. Is that enlightenment? Who knows, man? Who even knows what that is, really? Does anybody actually know what it is fully? They say they do. How can we know that they do? In the description below, there's a link to my second channel where I do things like play Helldivers and make music. There's also a link to invite you to my Discord server. It's not my Discord server. It's this community's Discord server that was created by you guys. If you would like to join that Discord server. Description. Thank you guys so much for sharing the space with me. And as always, I will see you in the next one.